as you know, we're going to be continuing on this study on righteousness into the year of righteousness, thanks to these banners. And I've taken the liberty to be able to study out the different characters of the Bible from Genesis all the way. And I've skipped some because we gotta move along. It's February and we're still stuck in Exodus, so we're picking up the pace. But today we're gonna be talking about Moses. The ever famous Moses that crossed the Red Sea. And if you ask us one thing today, what is one quality that people want today? And you go, oh, I want to be good looking. I want to be athletic. I want to do all these things, financially independent, all of these different adjectives. And yet the one thing that people need is simply the attribute of humility. And humility is a quality that nobody strives for, honestly, anymore. People don't want to be humble because they want to feel important. They want to be important. They want to be heard. They want their way done rather than what other people or what God wants. To be humble is to have a modest or a low estimate of one's importance. And let's be honest, nobody wants that, I think. In a world where everyone wants to be right and to be wrong is a death sentence. That's what it seems like. And if you guys have ever played a board game with me, that's how it feels like. A couple weeks ago, the brothers played Uno.
Oh, I love.
And then if you know Uno, like trying to remove all your cards and things like that. There's a +2 and a +4 card. But in the game I bought is Uno No Mercy, which means +10 stacking, meaning +10 can go on +10, on +2 and +4. Meaning, I got the bad hand and I got +100. Yeah. And for some of us, when we play, we're gonna, where's the table? I'm gonna flip the table. I'm a nice guy. But in my heart, I'm like, I'm not gonna stomach that. And anyways. But some of us, our pride gets exposed when we lose. Isn't that right? When we don't win and when we don't get what we want, that's where your character is revealed more. In reality, for us Chinese people, to apologize first is also a death sentence. To look bad in front of others is a big no-no. So people rather save face and pay the consequences of it. I was at one of the birthday parties for my grandma last week, and me and my family were just talking with the other Chinese families and all these things. And then my dad goes, man, Chinese people like to celebrate. And that's true. All of the Chinese restaurants in Manila get booked out for family ceremonies, weddings and stuff like that. And it's 50,000 pesos per table, which is 7,000 Hong Kong dollars per table. They pull out abalone, sea cucumbers, the big good foods. And my family was I even remember there's this one couple that wanted to do this massive ceremony, even though they don't have money. So they took out loans, just to celebrate, to tell his family, hey, I'm doing fine, you don't have to worry about me. And they were like, so how about the money? That's not my problem. I just want to celebrate. I just want to look good. And too often that's who we are. We want to look good even at our own expense. Yet if it's one thing, God has sought for men that is simply humble. If you go to the Bible, you look, who are the greatest stars of the Bible? Yes, Jesus in the New Testament. But in the Old Testament, the biggest star was Moses. Moses everywhere. Moses this, his law, this. It was Moses. Why? Because these two people are the most humble in history. In Numbers 12 verse 3 it says, now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. Imagine 12, probably millions and billions of people at this point of the Bible. Yet Moses, this one guy, was called the most humble. In Philippians 2 verse 5 to 8, this is who Jesus was. In your relationship with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. Being made in human likeness and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. So let me ask you today, how is your humility? Do you wait to be humbled first before being humbled? Would you rather be humbled, humiliated, or be humble yourself as a character? If you know Denzel as well, Denzel would always like to bring up these random arguments of questionable backgrounds. Like, say for example, pineapple is better on pizza. Anyways, so these questionable, opinions. And there's just last week he goes, you can have a good exercise without having sore muscles. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's, ask Marcus. He probably goes, no, that's crazy. You need to get sore to have a good exercise. But then I searched on the internet, that's actually true.
What? Not entirely true.
Yeah, search it later. Search it later. That's up to you to, find out. But, me searching that up, I was like, dang, yeah, you're right. Do you have to be proven wrong first before you need to be humble? Does God need to do something in your life to change your situation first? For you to lose a job, for you to lose someone important, for you to lose everything you have, for you to lose your house before you choose to be humble.
Come on.
But that was my lesson today. To be right is to be wrong.
Come on.
And point number 1, wrong for men, but right for God. Do you see your need to be humble? And if you go through Moses' life, Moses never started out humble, but quite the opposite, entitled, actually. In Exodus 2, verse 5 to 10, it reads, Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw the baby, who was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This is the one of the Hebrew babies, she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? Yes, go, she answered. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you. So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, I drew him out of the water. So to be one of the Hebrews, if you guys know the story, most of the Hebrew babies were being slaughtered at this time. And he was saved, and to then grow up under the Egyptian palace. That means he had a good education, he probably spoke Egyptian, probably spoke Jewish as well, probably knew maths, or had education in that sense. And did not work as a slave, probably had a good upbringing. He got everything he wanted, but the thing is, even though he got everything he wanted, that was not satisfactory for him. We keep going. Exodus 2:11 to 15. Now one day after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw 2 Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew? The man said, Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me? As you killed the Egyptian. Then Moses was afraid and thought, What I did must have become known. When Pharaoh heard this, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. One of the reasons why Moses humbled out was probably because when he tried to do something right, he did it wrong by resorting to murder. And from then on, now after killing him, he fled. Even to his adoptive father, the Pharaoh, wanted to kill him. To then have his entire nation scorn him. Are you going to kill me too? To then escape to the desert. where there was no food. There was nothing to encourage him. Nothing. Does that need to happen to you before you change and recognize God?
Wow.
Now, a lot of people ask, hey, why do I need God when my life is so good? Why do I need God when I'm studying in HKU, PolyU, CityU? I'm in one of the top 10 universities in Hong Kong. I'm living the best life.
Wow.
Why do I need to seek God when I have a good paying job in this cushy office job?
Right.
I mean, I have good savings. I have good all of these things. Well, the thing is, God is kind enough for you to think about God when you're comfortable. Imagine being stuck on your deathbed thinking about God.
Right.
When the only thing you can probably do is use the internet and hope to find God. You can still walk, so actually it's good for you. I even know of a sister in Mexico. His brother is a disciple, a Christian, and then tried to reach out to her sister, Carolyn. He's like, hey, why don't you study the Bible? And Carolyn, politely didn't want to. And then after a year, did her own thing. And then, just a couple months ago, her family got into a car accident.
Oh no.
And then the doctor rushed to the emergency room, and the doctor said she might only have 3 hours left to live.
What? Oh wow.
God's gracious, and she was able to go through the surgery and was fine. But then she came out of recovery going, hey, this is a wake-up call. I need to study. I need to get to know God. And she did. She became a disciple and is now your sister. But God is kind. And every moment you have is a chance for you to get to know God. I know of another friend in Sydney. Joe is trying to reach out to one of my friends, and he goes, hey, I don't really think I need God as of this moment. I have a great opportunity to go to Switzerland to teach skiing. Yeah, great pension there. I love skiing. I'm an Australian. Let's go. He goes and he teaches skiing, and we haven't seen him for a year. Joe gives him a call again. Hey, how are you doing? I'm so grateful you called. I had an accident a couple of days ago, and now I can't even walk. So God is always trying to reach out. So why reach out later, and why not now? And even in my own life, I'm like, God, why are you reaching out to me now when I'm in an environment where I can't even speak the language? To live by myself. I was like, because there's a church in the Philippines that I could be reached out there. I could be a Christian there. But no. God had to take me out to a place where I wasn't comfortable, where my parents wasn't there, where everybody doesn't believe in God. And God's going, will you really seek me?
Hey, come on, let's go.
To have my first physics exam in my college degree and to fail it. And I had to go, am I really that smart? That really tested me because I was like, wow, my first degree outside being an independent adult and I failed it. Wow, okay. And to see God's love behind that, and God granted me, honestly, an A for that course. But God was like, hey, it's not about who you are. It's about what I can help you with. And that pushed me to seek first the kingdom.
Let's go.
In Hebrews 11, verse 24 to 25, it says, by faith Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. Moses had the life every single Jewish person wanted. To live up with the Pharaoh. To live in probably the pyramids were a coffin. So he probably lived in his own palace. He probably had his own room. He probably had a buffet every single day. And every Jewish man wanted that life. But Moses goes, not life for me, man. I've lived that life and it's not good. Moses was chasing after something bigger.
Come on.
Are you still chasing after that dream? The dream that everybody wants you to chase. The Hong Kong dream. To leave Hong Kong. To go to Australia or the UK or any British occupied territory. And to live a better life. There's multiple, so I can't name all of them. To work in Hong Kong but spend that money elsewhere. Are you still chasing that dream? You know, we all understand that money can't buy happiness. And why are we still chasing after money?
Come on.
Well, it's good to be sad and rich than sad and poor, isn't it? But the reality is, if you understand it's not good, why are you still going
Come
after it?
on.
Come on, Matthew.
You know, people have done that. People have tried achieving that dream, and they're still not happy. They have a house in Sydney, and they're still unhappy. They have a retirement home in another territory. They're still not happy. You know, I was speaking with my grandma last week. She's 97.
Oh, wow.
She has 5 kids. Well, you know, yeah, kids. And then I think 12 grandkids and 12 great grandkids.
Wow.
And then, you know, in her speech, she just goes, hey, you know, I have the money that most people in my generation wanted. I have the friends, the family that only people can dream of to see your great grandkids, which is a rarity. But these are things that I'm not happy with anymore.
Oh.
Because apart from that birthday party, she was alone. One of her friends passed away. And that was it. Money can't change that. And then I see a massive, if you know Matthew chapter 6, the Beatitudes, on her wall. I'm like, there's something more than what you're chasing after. You know, Moses grew in humility as he grew to be familiar with being wrong. As he knew the only thing that was right was God.
Yeah.
You know, in Exodus 7:14 to Exodus 11, he saw the 10 plagues happen. He saw God crush a nation.
Yeah, yeah.
In Exodus 14, verse 10 to 11, it says, as Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? You know, he was going, hey, I'm going to leave Egypt. Now with 1 million people at the edge of Egyptian border, and now to have Egypt's whole army chasing after you.
Oh, wow.
And you go, well, what am I going to do?
Scared.
You know, if you see God's miracles happen, you will change your life.
Yeah.
You know, many times we don't want to be humble because we still think you can change your life.
Right.
You still think that your resume will change your life. You still think your discipline will change your life. You still think your job can change everything. Your studies, your looks.
Right.
But it's not really important
Yeah.
because God can change anything.
Yeah.
True.
You know, we understand how, we understand here in Hong Kong, nepotism works. Sadly, it is. You go, hey, you know, my boss, hey, I want to recommend you a friend. And then they get that job immediately. You know, even one of our friends, Ricky, trying to get a job in Sydney, he was Kiwi. And then in one or 2 weeks, he got that job immediately.
Oh, wow.
Because Alice there knows the boss. And then the boss just invited him, hey, Ricky is a great colleague, why don't you hire him? And he got hired. So we understand that principle.
Yeah.
So we have this nepotistic lifestyle to invite our boss, but you understand that you know God. And God could do so much more than your job, than your finances, than anything, so he can go and help you out.
Come on.
You know, Sarah, upon hearing that her dad all the way in Chile was sick, just got her household. Guys, let's please pray for my family. Pray for my dad. The day after, he got healed.
Oh, wow. Come on.
You know, Lan and another brother who was like, hey, I want to seek God. I want to put the kingdom first. I want to come to church. I want to know God. Has the exam the day after on Monday. 3 units. I'm limited in time. Let me study those random 3 units. Studies. Exact 3 units she studied came out the exam day right after. The brother was looking for an internship. God, you said you're going to help me. You're going to help me with my needs. I need an internship to pass this degree. Comes to church on Sunday, meets an architecture friend who does the same degree, gives him an internship. 1 week. God can do so much.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But that's if you seek Him.
That's true. Come on.
You know, how much more if you know that God, who is in control of your heart, of your life, of your effort, how much more will He do if you work with Him? You know, Moses saw himself as wrong. Exodus 4 verse 13 to 14. But Moses said, "Pardon your servant, Lord. Please send someone else." Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, "What about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he can speak well. He's already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you." Moses was not familiar with that. He knew he was wrong. He made God angry. Now that's something to put in your resume. I made God angry. The God that made the universe, the God that made me, the God that made my hair, I made him angry. And I'm not sure if you guys have made your parents mad, but you don't want to see that. You don't want to be at the opposite end of that. And me and my brother, I'm the bigger one of me and my brother, so we would play. I'd accidentally push him, and he just skid on the floor.
Wow.
And I get the opposite hand going, "You need to understand it. You're too powerful. You need to be careful." And I was like, let's just hope this ends. But Moses had that. He goes, "I made God angry. I know I'm wrong." And that's a lesson I'm going to take with me. When you understand that you yourself are limited, you will go much further.
Yeah.
Because you stop pushing yourself because you know your limits.
Yeah.
One of the, if you know the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
One of the most famous people, not Dale Carnegie, Mr. Carnegie, who built one of the biggest railroad foundations of America. He goes, "I don't care if I'm the richest. I don't care if I'm the smartest. But as long as I know more people who are smarter than me, then I will succeed."
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
You know God.
Yeah.
Isn't that all we need already?
Come on. Come on.
God will only use those people who have already emptied themselves out.
Yeah.
And stealing Nixon's idea last Wednesday of the cup. I have a cup. No, I don't have a bowl of water, so I want more water. I don't need it. So imagine, this is your cup. This is your life. He goes, "I think I know what I need. I need a cup of coffee. I need a cup of Coke. Diet Coke for some people. I think this will fill me up and this will help me in my life."
Okay.
Great. God's like, "Oh, yeah, here's blessing." Oh, it's full. What are you going to do with that? "No, I like my Pepsi. I'll fill it up every week with Pepsi because I know Pepsi's good for me
Okay.
and nothing's going to change that."
Oh.
Well, okay, God, I don't want your blessing then.
Oh.
I'll have my Pepsi.
Oh wow.
Unless you can drink your pride down, God can't fill up more.
Let's go.
Come on.
So what is your cup still filled of?
Wow. Come on, Matthew.
And will you drink your pride and swallow your pride
Yeah.
to see what God can do?
Come on.
And point number 2, just to wrap things up.
Come on, Matthew.
Humility leads to nobility. Moses grew quickly because he was quick to be wrong. And I don't know about you, but being wrong sucks. And to be wrong in front of wrong people is a different story altogether.
Yeah. Yes.
And yet that was the story Moses had to go through all of his life. The reason why he was humble is because he wanted to be wrong in front of these wrong people. Because he knew only one person that was right. That's God. In Exodus 18 verse 7 to 8, so Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other and then went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way and how the Lord had saved him. So, Moses met his father-in-law. And, if you guys are dating or anything like that, and you meet the in-laws, you go, it's a bit scary. A couple weeks ago, I met Emma's in-laws. And we had dim sum at Kennedy Town. And I'm like, I'm the only Cantonese speaker here. Cool. So I need to look good.
Oh, okay.
And, not now. Go to dim sum with me later. But the willingness to look good and to speak Cantonese in front of everybody and get the orders right. They were like, order this. I'm like, what's that again? But, there's that tendency to be right in front of your supervisors, in front of higher authorities, and of people you want to impress.
Yeah.
And Moses, the first thing he meets, his father-in-law, bows down immediately.
Wow.
Right.
And he goes, here's what I've done, but I'm willing to get input. I'm willing to get advice. And he did. And he used that to lead 1 million Israelites later on.
Come on.
Numbers 14 verse 5, it says, Then Moses and Aaron fell face down in front of the whole Israelite assembly gathered there. Now the Israelites were being naughty and they were not following God.
Yeah.
And yet Moses and Aaron, the two of them, they were like, okay, I don't know what to do. How do I lead these people? Just bows down in front of them. Keep going. Numbers 16 verse 3 to 5. They came as a group to oppose Moses and Aaron and said to them, You've gone too far. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly? When Moses heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all of his followers, In the morning, the Lord will show who belongs to him and who is holy, and he will have that person come near them. The man he chooses, he will cause to come near him. Now, in front of people who were disobedient and did not want to follow him, he just fell face down.
Right.
Yeah.
He probably didn't have any good reason to, when you're in an argument and you're trying to think, okay, I need to have a good argument back.
Oh,
You
yeah.
go, I'll catch you. It's your problem now. You're at fault. Moses didn't go, I'm not here to think about and prove other people wrong. I'm just going to fall face down.
True. Come on.
Right.
And he did the same towards God. Exodus 34, verse 8 to 9.
Yeah.
Moses bowed to the ground at once and worshipped. Lord, he said, if I have found favor in your eyes, then let the Lord go with us. Although this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance. And even towards the end of Exodus, where he has passed through the Red Sea, did so many miracles, Moses still bows down in front of God and goes, God, is it still me? Do you still want me to lead? If not, I will step down as long as you lead these people. We will be wrong most of our life. I'm not sure if you've thought about that.
Yes.
And why are we so eager to fight to be right when we know that we're going to make mistakes? Truth be told, we gain nothing when we are right. But when you are wrong, you gain wisdom. So in your life, is that you? Are you quick to bow? Are you quick to be wrong? Are you quick to seek wisdom? Are you always getting to fights with people? Getting emotional? I'm not good enough. Let me do it my way. You don't understand my path. You don't understand what I'm going through. Don't stop me from doing what I want. Well, that's what I said when I jumped off the rock 2 weeks ago and I injured myself.
Oh no.
So, are you still jumping to do what you want to do? Are you silently avoiding your responsibilities? Do you think that you are more spiritual than someone else? So you think your way is better than the Bible?
Wow.
Are you all of a sudden critical? But you don't understand that brother, that sister, that leader, that something is always catching you up. Are you finding it difficult to admit your faults? That you have fallen short? Are you sugarcoating the truth? Yeah, I did that, but... Are you finding excuses? Are you blaming other people? How easy is it for you to follow? Do you do things only if it serves you? I'll read the Bible, but if it only helps my life. I'll follow the Bible if I get a promotion tomorrow. Do you follow the Bible or get correction, even if it meant sacrifice, discomfort, inconvenience on your end? And that's why I want to lift up one of our great friends, Brandon. If you guys don't know, Brandon came over to Hong Kong to help serve the church 5 to 6 years ago. We were looking at the photos yesterday. So if you guys don't know, he's a Filipino-born Australian. And the one thing that always shocks me about Brandon is he never fails to confess his sin every night to the brothers. Before we go to sleep, he's like, hey bro, can I confess something? Hey bro, can I confess something? Before I do this, hey bro, can I confess something? And I'm very grateful for that because you see his life And it's a life where, amen, you don't really know where it's going. After coming to Hong Kong, he lived in Sydney for most of his life, moves to Hong Kong, then goes to New Zealand, then goes back to Sydney. Because he has that humble heart of going, hey, I'm here to serve. You know, whatever it is, whatever capacity, I'm here to serve wherever it takes. And that's why I know for a fact that he has helped the kingdom so much. Honestly, everything I learned is actually from him. How to lead a Bible talk is from him. How to, learn and understand the hearts of people is from him. And that humility I'm still learning is from him. And he got married last year, which is awesome. January, actually, shoot, that was the end of January. It felt like forever ago. And he was praying, he's like, hey, God, please help my wife, my fiance, get a visa to stay in Sydney. And immediately after, that was granted. And it comes from that humility. Because he goes, I'm not in control of anything, but I know who is. Moses' humility ushered him to see God. Matthew 5 verse 8, just to wrap things up. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. For most of us, that is what we desire. We want to see God, don't we? We want to see God and still have life. If we see God, we die. In truth. But we want to see God. We want to see God work in your job, in your life, in your family, in all these different things. And yet that comes with humility and having a pure heart. Exodus 33:11, it says, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his young aide Joshua, son of Nun, did not leave the tent. God wanted to be Moses' friend because he knew that when he spoke to Moses, there was no defensiveness, there was no disobedience, there was no excuses. There was just, I'm here, I'm sinful, and I just want to do what God says. And that was the reason why God had this relationship with Moses. And then you see who Moses was at the end of the Old Testament. You see this guy who, through God's help, built a nation from scratch to build a judiciary system. For most who study law, law is incredibly confusing. Yet this one man, through God, was able to build that for 1 million people. To then build social welfare, to then build an education system, to build a religious system, to start a nation of 1 million people, unheard of. To lead these slaves with one educated man. Impossible. To be the very first to see miracles spoken of for generations even today. To be the first to see locusts. To be the first to see the sea split. To be the first to see manna, bread fall from heaven. To then be the first to lead God's people out of slavery. And to then start a nation of Israel, of which the heritage and things from that nation still persist today. All of us want to see great things. And let's be honest, most of us have never lived a life. This is your very first life. Congratulations. And yet we feel like we have lived many. We feel like we know things. And yet, where did you get that from? You're trying to figure out your life with experiences you've never had. Yet, why not come to the God who's made your life in the first place? And just to conclude, the title of my lesson today is To Be Right is to Be Wrong. And point number 1, wrong for men, but right for God. Are you seeking to be wrong? Are you still seeking to be right? Because if you are right, then you live your life, sure. But to be wrong means to then go, God, what do I need to do? To get instruction and to live it. And point number 2, humility leads to nobility. Only humility will you really change your life. Because you are ushered into higher people. People that will change your life. Who wants to meet a prideful man? Clearly I don't. But you get to meet people who do know. And with that, you get to meet God. And my challenge for you guys, hey, study the Bible. Get to know God. But as you study the Bible, don't come with excuses. Don't come with things that you want to do. Just come going, what does God want me to do? And let me do that. With that, to God be glory.